Okay, good morning everyone, and Hazak Baruch. Thank you for joining us on this beautiful Wednesday morning as we are studying together Perashat Vayetze. Vayetze, we read about the birth of the Shevatim, of the tribes of Israel. Yaakov Avinu, he ends up marrying two sisters, Rahel and Leah, and he also marries marries is an interesting word, but he marries the maidservants. He takes them as wives. And he has basically children from all of them. And that's what we read about in this week's parasha. But originally he did not want four wives. He really just wanted one. He just wanted Rahel. And that was his first love, if you will. He saw through her he's going to build Am Yisrael. And originally the plan was he was going to work for 7 years just for Rahel. And his father-in-law Lavan was a very big swindler, and when the next morning, instead of marrying Rahel, the father-in-law, he threw in Leah instead. Leah was the older sister. That's very dishonest. You know, I worked for one type of daughter, and then you give me a different daughter. And Yaakov is very upset the next morning. He's upset at Leah. He's also upset at the father-in-law. So he says, "Vayomer Lavan mazot asita li." What'd you do to me? Halo berachel avati ve'amar mitani. After all, I was working on behalf of Rahel. Why'd you deceive me? And it's very interesting. Look at the answer of Lavan. Vayomer Lavan lo ya'aseh ken komenu latet ha'se'ira lefnei ha'bechira. This is not done in our place, to give the younger before the elder one. But maleh shavu azot, complete the week of this one. Meaning, if you wait for 1 week, sheva berachot. You know, for the marriage of Leah, wait 1 week. V'nitena lecha gam et zot ba'avoda. And then I'll give you the second one as well. Asher ta'avod emadi od sheva shanim achayot. And then I'll give you Rahel for seven more years of work. And so, just imagine this conversation. Yaakov is extremely upset. Why did you deceive me? I didn't work for her, I worked for the other one. You tricked me. And all of a sudden, Lavan says, no, this cannot be done. And doesn't really seem to address the problem. Lavan's not really answering the question. And the Malbim explains something unbelievable about, thieves' trickery. How sometimes they are able to even trick themselves and to fool themselves into thinking that what they're doing is the most honest thing and the most moral thing. And actually they're doing you a favor. And this is the way of evil, of controlling, of backwards thinking, is that they're able to make it as if you're the problem. And what Lavan is telling Yaakov is as follows. Take a look how the Malbim explains it. Lavan says, don't think my intention in giving you Leah in this way was to force you into marrying her against your will, or to deny you the chance of marrying Rachel as you deserve. On the contrary, everything I did was in order to make good on my promise to you to allow you to marry Rachel as soon as possible. You see, you worked for Rachel. You deserve her fair and square as soon as possible. However, this is what Lavan is saying. As you may know, Yaakov, the custom in our place is that the younger daughter is not allowed to marry before her older sister. That's just the custom here. Such is not done in our place. The people of my place, Yaakov, they would not allow such a thing to happen. So you see, I did you a favor. If you would have waited to marry Rahel until some other man came along to marry Leah, you may have waited many, many years. Who knows when Leah is going to get taken? So, 7 years of labor is what I require as Leah's bride price. And I require that such labor be done in advance of any marriage, because I don't really trust anyone. I'm an honest man. And I don't trust anyone. You want to marry any one of my daughters, you got to pay me ahead of time 7 years of labor. Anyone except for you. Because Yaakov, I like you. And therefore, as a special favor to you, I gave you Leah on credit. Now, When you worked for 7 years, that was for Rachel. And she's yours right now. And immediately after you finish 1 week of Sheva Barachot, after Leah's 7-day marriage celebration, I'll let you take Rachel on credit. I'll let you take Leah on credit. Meaning, really, you worked 7 years for Rachel. But we have a problem here. I can't give you Rachel today because Leah is still single. If you want, I'll do you a favor. Work with me here, Yaakov. I like you. I trust you. So, I'm trying to give you Leah first in front of their eyes so that they think you worked for Leah. And now, I married Leah first, and now you could also have the bride that you always wanted. But really, between me and you, I'm doing you a favor here. I'm giving you a Leah in advance. Really, you're supposed to work for her 7 more years first. I'm letting you take her before the 7 years begin. But you have to work for me for 7 years, and I'm doing you a favor by allowing you to do that. I assume that you would agree to all of this, Yaakov. You are free to dispute me, of course. You can send Leah home if you wish. You could claim that your marriage to her was a case of mistaken identity. Keep in mind that if you do so, I would not be able to allow you to marry Rachel until finally someone will come and take Leah, and then Rachel's yours all along. But again, I'm only having your best interest at heart in everything that I did, Yaakov. Just trying to help you out. I'm just trying to figure out how to make this best for you. This was Lavan's answer to Yaakov. Unbelievable, my friends. It's a wild thing to think how a person who is a trickster, who has such horrible intentions, could reframe it in a way that will make it as if it's very logical. And to themselves it makes sense, and they even maybe convince you that it makes a lot of sense. Be it as it may, Vayar Hashem ki senu'a le'a vayiftach et rahma verachel akara. I want to focus today on this pasuk over here. And God saw that Leah was hated, so He opened her womb, while Rachel remained akara, she remained barren. Something that we mentioned in the past is that all the imahot, all the mothers, they were barren. They couldn't have kids. Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, and even Leah. Yes, it's a mistake to think Leah had kids easily. Pasuk is very clear. Vayar Hashem ki senu'a Leah vayiftach et rahma. She also was barren. She also could not have children. And God opened her womb. And it's interesting to wonder of why were all the matriarchs barren? Why did Hashem require that they have children in this way? And the Malbim explains something very, very beautiful. That Hashem knew that the Shevatim that were going to be born, Am Yisrael, the children born from Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah, were not going to be ordinary children. They were going to be extraordinary. They were going to be supernatural. Having a child is very natural. Animals have children. Different species, even plants, they reproduce for survival of their species. Having children should be a very natural and easy thing. But Am Yisrael is not a natural thing. Am Yisrael is me'ala teva. And Hashem needed there to be, explains the Malbim, there needed to be an element of Am Yisrael. They couldn't be born naturally. They had to be born supernaturally. And so Hashem made it that they were akara, that they were barren. And now through the tefillah, they were turn the heavens. And the children that were conceived through these prayers would have a very special spiritual quality to them. And that's why each of the imahot struggled. Hashem wanted the avot, the imahot, to pray so that there could be not just a biological baby here, but there needs to be a spiritual creation. And that's going to be brought through the tefillah. So when they're barren, what ends up happening is that Avraham, he prays for his wife, Sarah. And all those tefillot, imagine the tefillot of Avraham Avinu. Those tefillot are going to be now injected, so to speak, into Abraham for Sarah, the tefillot of Yitzchak for Rivka, the tefillot of Yaakov for Rahel, for Leah. This was the plan of God. There was only one problem. The plan wasn't going to work for one person, for Leah, because Leah was hated. Vayar Hashem ki senu'a Leah. Now again, what does it mean, hated? Malbim says she wasn't actually hated. She just felt hated. She was less loved. But the point is that there was not going to be any prayer from Yaakov on behalf of Leah. And God says, if I wait for Yaakov to pray, Leah is going to remain childless. Because she's unloved. Because she's not going to get that usual, the recipe, the mechanism of prayer, miracle child would not happen. Because here he wouldn't pray for her, he would just pray for Rahel. And what is God going to do now? So the pasuk now, by the way, Vayar Hashem ki senu'a Leah. God saw that Leah was hated. God saw that Yaakov's not going to pray on her behalf. If he was going to pray on her behalf, then it would have been left to the normal mechanism. And eventually he would pray, and then the children would get the spirituality that they needed through the tefillot. But here Hashem saw that there's not going to be prayer. Vayar Hashem ki senu'a Leah. And so God saw that she was hated, so quote unquote. And therefore Hashem needed to intervene. Hashem needed to change the plan. Vayiftach et rahmah, he opened her womb anyways. In other words, Hashem changed the system. Hashem gave her a child without prayer. Yaakov and Rahel had to go through tefillah. Leah was able to go through a different avenue. She was able to get something through pain. And the lesson of the Malbim is that sometimes in life, pain can accomplish something that tefillah is designed to do. When Hashem sees a person is suffering, a lot of times we feel like we are a victim, and we are a victim in a certain situation. And we wonder who's watching this pain. We have to realize that pain, though, doesn't go unanswered. Pain, in a way, is like tefillah. Pain can achieve things that tefillah achieves. And the same supernatural child that's going to be born through the prayer of a holy tzaddik like Yaakov, you could achieve that same child, the same supernatural kadosh, shevatim, without needing Yaakov to pray for you, but through pain, through suffering. And that pain is also a form of tefillah. And Hashem sees that pain. And Hashem feels the pain of a person who is ignored, who's overlooked, who feels second, who feels unseen, who feels less than. And Hashem says, don't worry, I got you. Vayar Hashem ki senu'a Leah. And those tears are very powerful forms of tefillah. That pain is a powerful form of tefillah. That yearning for a child, that's tefillah. And Hashem says, don't worry about the conventional way. Don't worry that you need to pray. Your husband's not going to pray for you? No problem. I got you. I'm going to give you a different system. So the growth that prayer leads to, that was going to bring the miracle children, Hashem bypassed the system. When a person's suffering, he says, don't worry, I could build to also through that pain. That's also a form of tefillah and a form of growth. What an unbelievable Malbim. What a lesson. That when we're going through something in life and there's pain involved, we have to realize that that pain also matters. We shouldn't think that Hashem is just sending us pain and who cares, who notices. Hashem says, I notice. And I notice. And don't worry about the regular formula. Who said that formula is the formula that matters? You know, a lot of times we have in our minds, in our head, that this item is going to bring me the beracha. This segula is going to bring me the yeshua. I got to do this to get me. I got to go here. You know, I got to say kaddish for my father, for his soul to rise in heaven. And what ends up happening? You end up getting to shul and there's no minyan. And you didn't get to say Kaddish. And they had it on the schedule. And it's not your fault, there's no minyan. That pain, that yearning to want to say Kaddish, that has a lot of weight. Or how about better yet, if someone else is Chazan and now you can't, do your chiyuv for the Amud. You can't go pray Hazan because someone else is Hazan. And you wanted to, you tried. That's pain. Don't think that pain goes unanswered. Don't think that the only way to have a child is through a prayer. You could have children through other forms of prayer. There's prayer of pain, of yearning, of aching, of tsar. And Leah feeling hated, God says, beautiful. That's also enough to get you a child. And who does she have? She has Levi, she has Yehuda, kingship. Kohanim come from her. So don't limit yourself. Don't think Hashem is limited in how He could bring beracha. Don't limit God. That's a wild lesson, my friends. There's not one way to get beracha. Yeah? We'll make another way. We'll make another formula. There's no one trajectory. Hashem has many paths. This is the lesson of Leah. There's many ways for Hashem to send down blessing. Don't limit yourself. Don't limit yourself. Don't limit your path. For some people, shidduch comes through the normal sharchanim system. For some people, they have money that they're able to have someone put money and step up for them and bring about, promising a dowry and support, etc., that they're going to get the Yeshua. Don't worry. There's other forms of having a shidduch. Don't limit yourself. Don't limit yourself. There's many ways to beget that child, to beget that marriage, to beget that beracha. One of my favorite stories told by Rabbi Pesach Kron about a couple in Israel. They were barren for many, many years. And the man tried doing everything. He tried going, praying, this, that, tzedakah, supporting other people in fertility. And eventually one day, his friend suggested that he goes and speaks to a mekubal, some rabbi in Bnei Brak, who does things. And the man was not a fan of this style. It's not my way. I don't do things like that. I'm a very rational. But listen, you have nothing to lose. So the man said, okay, I guess, what do I lose? I'll go see him. Let me hear him out. And he goes to the rabbi, and the rabbi's listening, and the man's crying, and the rabbi's feeling the pain of the fellow. And finally the rabbi says, listen, Rosh Hashanah is a big segula for children to get aliyat maftir, to get the last aliyah of the day. We read about Sarah, who was barren. We read about Chana, who was barren, and she ended up having Shemuel. And it's a big segula to get that aliyah maftir. I don't know where you're praying, but why don't you join us for Rosh Hashanah? And, you get the aliyah. Hashem could do amazing things. The man was at first a little bit confused, wasn't sure what to think. He had his shul, he had his system. Rosh Hashanah is very personal day. People love praying in their own shul for these high holidays. Praying now, a different type of Jew, different sect. Not my style, I don't know the prayer. But he spoke to his wife, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. He thanked the rabbi. Okay, we're in. We're going to do it. We'll find a place to sleep. We'll go to Bnei Brak for Rosh Hashanah. It is what it is. And this is what we got to do for the segula, for the children. Sure enough, fast forward, Rosh Hashanah comes. They make their sleeping arrangements. And the night of Rosh Hashanah, the first night of the year, the man goes to shul. He goes to this rabbi's shul. And he nods at the rabbi. The rabbi sees him. He acknowledges him. And after the tefillah, he walks over to wish Chag Sameach and to remind the rabbi, remember, you promised me maftir. And sure enough, the rabbi, of course, everyone's waiting online to shake his hand. One by one, Chag Sameach, Chag Sameach. And so this fellow waited on the side. He's not a chassid. He didn't look like the chassidim praying there. He wore a different garb. So he politely was waiting for everyone else to wish the rabbi a Chag Sameach. And as he's waiting there on the side, he looks and he sees another fellow who also is not dressed like the Hasidic garb. Also doesn't look like he prays there normally. And the man wheels start turning in his head. Who is this guy and what in the world is he doing in this shul? And finally he goes over and he sticks out his hand. Chag Sameach. Nice to meet you. What brings you here? The man says, well, you know, me and my wife, we're barren, trying to have children for a long time. And I spoke to the rabbi earlier this year and he mentioned that maftir is a segula. So I came here for Rosh Hashanah to get maftir tomorrow. This is what this other fellow is saying. This other guy's saying it now. This man's hearing this. He's like, oh my God, what? How is this happening? The rabbi told you maftir. He told me maftir. How many years are you trying? I'm longer. He told me first. I need the segula. I need the child. I made all sleeping arrangements. I had to figure everything out. I came to Bnei Brak for Rosh Hashanah. This is my segula. In his head, he's getting all these thoughts. Should I fight him? Should we rock, paper, scissors? Like, what do we do? He had no idea what to say. He was all confused, so he didn't say anything. He just said, oh, wow, okay. Hatzlacha, good luck. And he exits the shul on the way, walking home. What kind of rabbi is this? Trying to double dip, get us to have a bidding war. He doesn't know what to think. Anyways, he gets home, sees his wife, and she sees her husband is not happy. What happened? Everything okay? He tells her what just happened. There's another guy in the shul who's going to get maftir. What should I do? Should I go? Should I fight him? Should I? And the man decided there's no bracha in life. Our rabbis tell us that holds blessing in life, just like peace, like shalom. You want bracha, you got to have shalom. And his wife reminded him, whatever you do whatever you want. You can pray there, don't pray there, but nothing's more important than shalom. You know, make fights now. He took her words to heart and he said, well, I guess if that's the case, shalom it'll be. And the next morning he went and he prayed in a different shul. He didn't make a stink, he didn't make a fight, he didn't make a scene. He went in a different shul, he didn't end up getting maftir. He didn't get the aliyah. And a year later, he and his wife were blessed with a beautiful baby boy. Because sometimes the beracha comes in life, not through the avenue that you necessarily think it has to come through. Don't limit Hashem's blessing. Don't limit, it has to come from here. It's going to come from prayer. It's going to come from, no, there's other ways to get something in this world. Hashem is unlimited. Sometimes you get a child through prayer of your husband, Tzaddik, Yaakov Avinu. And sometimes you get a child through pain. And a lot of times in life, Hashem is testing us and sending us tests. And He puts us in circumstances that put us through a little bit of pain. And we wonder, Hashem, why are you doing this to me? And really, if we could only see in the heavens, God is saying, hello, I'm trying to give you a little bit of chavir. I'm trying to give you a little bit of blessing. I'm trying to send you the correct Yeshua that you need. But you need to pass this test. You need to fulfill this mission. You need to go through this pain. And when we do, Hashem says, okay, beautiful, beracha is coming. You know, we think it's through the segula that I'm going to now have a child. The Kaddish, you know, how many people they'll bid a lot of money in shul, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur to get the petihah, to get the this, to get the that. But that's not the only way. That's a segula, it's nice. But there's a lot of other, even more powerful ways sometimes. And when we allow ourselves to get lost in the segula, in the one-dimensional path, we forget Hashem is Hakol Yachol. Hashem is great. Hashem is able to do many, many things. We should never limit Him. We should always remember, when we stick to what we know and what we do and our values, Hashem is able to send down the most beautiful blessings in the most unexpected of ways. And so the textbook method, barren prayer miracle, Hashem said, Falei, will make for you a custom plan. There is a custom plan. Everyone has their own unique, designed method that we're able to achieve, Be'ezrat Hashem, amazing things. Stop over here. May Hashem send us unlimited blessings. Beracha ad belidai, Be'ezrat Hashem. See you all tomorrow. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.